Your aura is too powerful for most people to handle. Your energy introduces you before you even speak. There's a reason some people feel uneasy around your calm confidence. Your aura speaks a language few can understand. In this video from Spiritual Wisdom, we'll explore why your energy has such a powerful impact on those around you, and how Carl Jung's insights explain this magnetic presence. As you listen, reflect on how your aura shapes your daily interactions. Do you dim your light to make others comfortable? Or do you stand fully in your truth? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's dive together into the psychology and spirituality behind your radiant energy. 1. Your presence shifts energy without words. When your aura is powerful, you don't have to announce it speaks before you do. The energy you carry silently shifts the atmosphere. People feel it in their chest, even if they can't explain it. It's the calm assurance in your eyes, the quiet strength in your presence, and the peace that follows you into every room. This is what true spirituality looks like. Not noise, not performance, but an alignment so deep that the world around you adjusts to your vibration. You don't seek attention, yet attention naturally finds you, because the frequency of truth cannot be ignored. People sense your depth, your clarity, and your authenticity. And for those who wear masks to survive, who hide behind false confidence or shallow validation, your energy feels like a mirror they didn't ask for. They see in you what they've been avoiding within themselves. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Your presence does exactly that. It exposes what's hidden and reveals what's unhealed. That's why some are drawn to you while others distance themselves. It isn't personal, it's an energetic truth. When you are in alignment with your soul, your aura becomes a force of spiritual awakening. It no longer conforms to the noise of the world, but vibrates in harmony with your higher self. You've learned that power doesn't come from being loud, it comes from being whole. And wholeness radiates. You can stand in silence and still command the space, not because of dominance, but because your energy is settled, grounded, and pure. Those who have not yet met their own light will find yours overwhelming. They may call it arrogance, indifference, or mystery, but it's simply coherence. Spirituality, at its core, is about embodiment, walking as peace, breathing as truth, existing as balance. You no longer chase validation or approval because your energy already speaks the language of confidence and self-respect. Your boundaries become sacred, your silence becomes powerful, and your presence becomes medicine. You heal not through fixing others, but through reminding them of what real alignment feels like. Still, this kind of aura carries a weight. Not everyone can handle it. Some will project their fears onto you, misread your calmness as distance, or mistake your depth for darkness. But this is part of the path of spiritual awakening learning, to remain open without absorbing, to stay compassionate without shrinking. Your energy no longer seeks to please, it seeks to be. You've evolved from trying to belong to realizing you already are part of something larger, divine, and eternal. As you continue to embody this truth, your aura attracts only what matches its frequency. The chaos falls away, the noise fades, and what remains is peace. A peace so strong it unsettles the unhealed. You've become the still point in a spinning world. Without words, Your energy teaches others what authenticity feels like. You don't convince. You radiate. You don't perform. You are. And that is the silent revolution of a soul in alignment with the power to shift the world around you simply by existing as your truest self. If your aura can shift energy the moment you walk into a room, this message is for you. Your presence alone speaks volumes, no words needed. So, if you're ready to embrace this powerful truth within yourself, comment below, "I radiate energy," and let the world feel your light. 2. You are a mirror of truth and integrity. When your aura carries truth, integrity, and emotional depth, you become a mirror that reflects the hidden parts of the people around you. Your energy doesn't just fill a room, it transforms it. Without saying a word, you awaken something inside others, something they often avoid seeing. You don't trigger people on purpose. It's simply that your grounded, authentic presence exposes what they've buried: insecurities, fears, and unresolved wounds they've tried to hide beneath masks and false confidence. To those who live disconnected from their true selves, your energy feels intimidating because it vibrates at a frequency they haven't yet reached. But what feels like confrontation is, in truth, the beginning of healing. Your presence reminds people of what they've forgotten: their own light, their own alignment, their own lost integrity. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Your aura does exactly that. It makes the unconscious visible. It reveals the truth others try to suppress. And though this can cause discomfort, it is a sacred form of spiritual development. This is the power of spirituality in motion. You heal simply by being who you are. You carry a vibration that doesn't need explanation. It simply reveals. People sense your clarity, and without realizing it, they start to see where their lives are out of harmony. Some will feel drawn to you, inspired to rise higher. Others will pull away, unable to face the reflection your energy holds up to them. You might notice how certain people grow restless around you, not because you've said or done anything wrong, but because your truth disrupts their illusion. In a world where many choose comfort over consciousness, authenticity becomes revolutionary. Your light doesn't just shine, it exposes, and in doing so, it liberates. Those who aren't ready for that freedom may resist you, misunderstand you, or even project their fears onto you. But your role isn't to convince or comfort. It's to embody the vibration of truth so purely that it naturally separates what is aligned from what isn't. This is how the universe uses you as a vessel of awakening. Your aura carries a frequency that cannot be faked. It's not about being perfect or positive all the time. It's about being real. Spirituality does not escape its embodiment. The more you stay anchored in your truth, the more your energy refines itself. You attract those who match your integrity and repel those who cannot yet meet you there. This is not rejection. It's energetic protection. It's how the divine preserves your peace and keeps your path clear for what truly belongs to you. So when others seem uncomfortable in your presence, understand that it's not personal, it's energetic. You are a catalyst for transformation. You remind others of what it means to live in alignment with their own soul. Your energy doesn't seek approval, it seeks resonance. And the lesson in all this is simple. Keep standing in your truth, because that is the highest form of spiritual development. Your aura is not too much. It's medicine for a world that has forgotten how to feel, how to be honest, and how to be whole. Before we dive into the third truth, take a moment to subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom and join our growing community of conscious souls. Your support helps us continue sharing insights from Carl Jung and timeless spiritual wisdom. Don't forget to like this video so you never miss the guidance you need to protect your energy and set healthy boundaries without guilt. 3. You set boundaries without guilt. You've reached a point in your spiritual awakening where peace has become your priority and guilt no longer has power over you. You've learned that saying no isn't cruelty, it's clarity. You no longer overgive to prove your worth, over-explain to gain acceptance, or carry the weight of other people's emotions as your responsibility. This is self-respect in its highest form, and as Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. You've stopped abandoning yourself to be liked, and instead, you honor your truth even when it's misunderstood. That shift is not ego, it's alignment. Boundaries are not walls built out of fear. They are bridges made of respect. They define where your energy ends and another's begins, allowing relationships to exist in honesty rather than obligation. When you stopped apologizing for protecting your peace, you also stopped allowing people to take advantage of your softness. Some may call you distant or cold now, but you've simply learned the sacred art of conserving your energy. Your silence is no longer emptiness, it's power. Your refusal to overextend is not arrogance, it's wisdom. This is what spiritual wisdom truly means. Understanding that love without boundaries is self-betrayal. As you stand firm in your truth, those who once thrived on your compliance may resist your evolution. They might project their discomfort onto you, mistaking your self-assurance for pride. But the truth is, your boundaries mirror back what others refuse to face within themselves. Their need for control, their fear of rejection, their discomfort with authenticity. You've stopped soothing others' insecurities at the expense of your own soul, and that shift creates a frequency only those in alignment with your energy can handle. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." You've made the unconscious conscious. You now see that guilt was a tool of conditioning, not compassion. The more you heal, the less you tolerate anything that disturbs your inner calm. You say no when your spirit says no, and yes only when your heart is truly in it. You've learned that boundaries are not rejection, they are protection. They are a language of self-love spoken without words, a vibration that tells the universe, "I am ready to live in truth." Those who can't meet you in that truth may fall away, but that is divine design. The people meant for your journey will not be intimidated by your peace. They will be inspired by it. They will recognize that your calm is not detachment, but deep presence, the result of mastering your own energy. You no longer chase understanding from others. You embody it within yourself. And in that quiet confidence, your aura becomes unmistakable, steady, luminous, untouchable. You radiate the kind of strength that can't be faked, the serenity that comes from walking in alignment with your highest self. This is the beauty of your evolution. You've learned to protect your peace, honor your truth, and love without losing yourself. And that, in itself, is the purest expression of spiritual wisdom. 4. You radiate calm confidence and authentic power. You no longer chase approval or bend yourself to fit into someone else's expectations because your confidence no longer depends on validation. It radiates from within. You have cultivated emotional maturity, and that quiet steadiness is magnetic. You don't need to prove your worth or compete for attention because your energy already speaks for you. You process emotions rather than project them, transmute pain into wisdom, and hold peace even when others crumble in chaos. Those who depend on drama or emotional turbulence to feel alive are often unsettled by your calmness. They mistake your silence for coldness, your boundaries for arrogance, and your detachment for superiority, not realizing that what they feel is their own insecurity reflected back at them through your stillness. Your calm presence becomes a mirror, one that exposes hidden wounds and forces others to face themselves, something many aren't ready to do. Your energy no longer seeks to dominate, it harmonizes. You've learned that real strength doesn't shout, it simply exists, unbothered, self-contained, grounded in truth. This is emotional wisdom at its highest form, the ability to feel deeply without being consumed, to love without losing yourself, and to stay soft in a world that tests your patience daily. You walk through life carrying this serenity, and people feel it before you speak. It's not that you are better, it's that you are balanced. You have made peace with your shadows, and that balance radiates outward as a magnetic field of spiritual clarity. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." You have done exactly that. You've met your inner world, and in doing so, transformed the way the outer world responds to you. In the realm of spirituality, this is the mark of awakening. When you no longer need external noise to validate your existence, when you find comfort in your solitude, and when your emotions flow without resistance, your aura expands in power and purity. You are no longer reactive, but responsive. You no longer absorb other people's chaos. You transmute it. Your presence becomes a sanctuary, one that stabilizes, heals, and awakens. Some are drawn to your energy, craving the peace you carry, while others recoil because they feel seen, not through words, but through vibration. You embody a stillness that many fear because it demands authenticity. Your calm confidence doesn't mean indifference, it means alignment. You've realized that peace is not found in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. You have learned to stay centered when others lose balance, to listen when others defend, and to release rather than resist. This quiet power is what makes your aura so potent. It reflects truth, not illusion, and truth can be uncomfortable. Yet that's the essence of spiritual awakening. The deeper you go within, the more powerful your energy becomes. You no longer seek to change the world by force. You change it simply by being who you are. Your presence is enough. Your silence speaks, and your calmness heals. This is not weakness. It is mastery. The kind that only comes from walking through your inner storms and emerging with unshakable peace. Don't forget to subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more insights on radiating calm confidence and authentic power, because true strength begins within. 5. You see beyond masks and superficiality. You were never meant to live on the surface. Your soul was wired for depth, truth, and spiritual development. While others may be content with appearances, you see through the masks that people wear. You notice the tremor in a voice, the flicker of doubt behind a smile, the heaviness that words can't hide. You read energy, not language. It's not that you're trying to expose people, it's that your aura, charged with authenticity, naturally brings truth to the surface. You don't chase illusions or settle for half-truths. You are drawn to what is real, to what feels alive, and that makes your energy magnetic, yet intimidating to those who have built their lives around false confidence and denial. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is exactly what your presence does to others. It brings their unconscious to light. When you enter a room, people sense something different. They may not know why, but they feel it in their body. The weight of their own unspoken emotions, the echo of their own hidden pain. Your aura doesn't just vibrate, it reflects. You are a mirror, and mirrors can be both beautiful and uncomfortable. Those who are ready to grow will feel seen and inspired by you, but those who are still hiding from themselves may feel exposed. Yet that discomfort is part of their awakening, triggered by your energy. Your spiritual wisdom acts like light. It doesn't judge the darkness, it simply reveals it. This deep awareness is both a gift and a test. You feel things intensely. You can sense when someone's laughter hides sorrow, or when confidence masks insecurity. It can be exhausting to feel so much, to perceive what others can't or won't admit. But this sensitivity is part of your spiritual awakening. It's how your soul navigates truth. In a world obsessed with pretending, you are one of the few who refuse to play the game. You crave genuine connection, conversations that nourish the spirit, and relationships that feed your soul rather than drain it. That's why many misunderstand you. They mistake your calm presence for coldness, your discernment for distance. But you are not distant. You are simply selective with where your energy flows. Your aura holds a frequency of alignment. You've learned that not every space deserves your light, and not every person can handle your depth. When you choose truth over comfort, you naturally disturb what is false. Some will feel drawn to your energy, craving the honesty they see in you. Others will resist it, afraid of what they might uncover within themselves. But you no longer need their validation. You've learned that authenticity is your real power. Your peace comes from alignment, not approval. Every time you stay true to yourself, your aura grows stronger, clearer, and more radiant. To see beyond masks is not a burden. It's a sacred responsibility. It asks you to stay compassionate but grounded, open-hearted but discerning. You cannot save everyone, and you are not meant to. Your presence alone awakens something dormant in others. You are here to remind people, without even speaking, that truth is the highest form of love. Your spiritual development has made you a beacon of clarity in a noisy world, a quiet force that reminds others that depth is not a weakness, but the essence of who we truly are, beneath all the layers. Comment below. I see beyond illusions. If you're someone who looks deeper than appearances and recognizes truth beneath the surface. 6. You choose alignment over approval. You've stopped chasing approval because somewhere deep inside, you realize that peace feels better than being liked. You no longer crave validation or understanding from others because your sense of purpose has become louder than their opinions. You've chosen alignment over acceptance, truth over comfort, and authenticity over performance. People who once admired your compliance may now call you too much or too intense. But what they're really saying is that they can no longer control or define you. You've outgrown the fragile spaces where you once shrank to make others feel comfortable. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And you are now living that truth, not by seeking attention, but by standing unapologetically in your own light. When you live in alignment, your aura becomes magnetic because it carries coherence. You are no longer fragmented or conflicted within yourself. Your yes means yes, and your no means no. And that level of clarity terrifies people who still live in self-betrayal. They feel your energy before you speak. They sense the weight of your presence and the silence of your authenticity. You've learned that peace is not found in pleasing others, but in remaining faithful to your soul's direction. What they call arrogance is simply your refusal to perform. What they call rebellion is simply your devotion to truth. This is what spiritual wisdom teaches, that alignment is the highest form of love for truth, for integrity, and for your own evolution. Carl Jung believed that when the conscious and unconscious parts of ourselves unite, we radiate a wholeness that others can feel. That's why your aura is powerful. It doesn't come from trying to be anything. It comes from finally being everything you are. You've shed the need to explain yourself, to justify your depth, to prove your worth. You've stopped dimming your light to protect other people's insecurities. Instead, you stand still, anchored in your own knowing, letting your energy speak for you. And that energy, calm, grounded, unbending, shifts every room you enter. Some are drawn to it, while others are unsettled by it, because your presence mirrors their own disconnection. You no longer take it personally. You understand that not everyone can meet you where you are, and that's okay. You're no longer chasing connection. You're cultivating resonance. You attract only what aligns with your vibration and release what disturbs your peace. You no longer explain why you've changed, because you finally understand that growth requires distance from what keeps you small. Your alignment has become your protection. Your truth has become your compass. And your energy, once spent on proving yourself, is now directed inward toward becoming, healing, and creating. You've chosen the quiet power of self-respect over the temporary comfort of approval. You've chosen to live as you are, not as others expect you to be. That is why your aura feels so powerful. It is the aura of someone who has remembered who they are and no longer needs permission to be free. To affirm your devotion to truth over validation, take a moment to declare it. Comment below. I choose alignment over approval. And let your words be a reflection of your inner strength. When your aura is powerful, it's not about arrogance or superiority. It's about authenticity, alignment, and truth. Remember, not everyone is meant to understand your energy, because light will always expose what hides in the dark. So, keep walking in your truth and let your presence speak louder than words. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next video on awakening and transformation. 10 psychological rituals that will awaken your hidden power. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Have you ever met someone who isn't the richest, the most talented, or the most famous, yet their very presence feels magnetic, calm, clear, and grounded. That energy doesn't come from luck. It comes from inner work. Jung believed that true power isn't about controlling the outer world, but understanding the inner one. In this video from Spiritual Wisdom, we'll explore 10 psychological rituals that awaken your hidden potential, not to make you better, but to make you truer. As you listen, I invite you to reflect on your own daily habits. Which of these practices could help you live with more presence, peace, and authenticity? Share your thoughts in the comments, because sometimes one conscious shift within can quietly transform your entire world. 1. Self-observation instead of auto-reaction. Most people live their entire lives unconsciously, reacting rather than choosing. They are caught in a loop of automatic behaviors, repeating the same emotional responses again and again, without realizing that every reaction drains their power. Carl Jung taught that true awareness begins the moment you observe yourself before you react. That tiny pause between what happens and how you respond is where your freedom lives. It's not just a moment, it's a portal. Within that silence, you awaken the power to choose understanding over anger, calm over chaos, and consciousness over compulsion. This is the first step of spiritual awakening, learning to witness rather than to react. When you start observing your emotions instead of being ruled by them, you begin to see their hidden patterns. You notice how quickly irritation rises, how easily you feel defensive, how your body tightens when you feel misunderstood. But instead of identifying with those emotions, you become the watcher, the one who sees without judging. That act alone shifts everything. Observation is not suppression. It's awareness infused with compassion. When you simply allow your emotions to exist without resistance, they reveal their roots. Anger often hides pain. Fear often masks vulnerability. Sadness often signals a deeper truth you've been avoiding. Through gentle awareness, these emotions transform from enemies into teachers. Jung's great insight was that everything we refuse to see in ourselves becomes the unconscious force directing our lives. By observing our inner world, we bring light into those shadowed corners of the psyche. This is not easy. It demands courage, honesty, and patience. Yet each time you pause before reacting, you reclaim your energy from the unconscious. You stop feeding the patterns that keep you stuck. That pause, that single breath before you speak or act, is the moment your soul takes back control from the ego. And in that instant, you are no longer a prisoner of your emotions. You are their master. Self-observation is the daily ritual that strengthens spiritual wisdom. It is a practice of remembering that you are not your anger, not your fear, not your insecurity. You are the awareness behind them. This awareness doesn't seek to destroy emotions, but to understand them. When someone provokes you, the old self wants to strike back, to prove its worth. But the awakened self sees the situation for what it is, a mirror reflecting an unhealed wound. Instead of reacting, you breathe, you observe, you choose peace. Slowly, you realize that no one can truly disturb your inner harmony unless you give them permission. Each moment of awareness is an act of freedom. Every time you pause and witness rather than react, you expand your consciousness. Life becomes less about controlling external events and more about mastering your inner energy. This is where true spirituality begins, not in escaping the world, but in engaging with it consciously. To observe yourself without judgment is to walk the path of healing. It is to transform reaction into wisdom, emotion into energy, and confusion into clarity. That is how spiritual awakening unfolds quietly, moment by moment, within the sacred pause where consciousness is born. Have you ever truly practiced self-observation instead of reacting on autopilot? If you have, share your experience in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone's spiritual awakening. If not, comment, "I will begin observing myself," and take the first step toward unlocking your hidden power through spiritual wisdom. 2. Balancing, doing, and being. Society worships action, achievement, and productivity. But the truth is, your soul doesn't evolve through constant doing, it awakens through stillness. You've been taught that slowing down means falling behind. Yet in reality, silence is where your deepest form of spirituality and spiritual development begins. When you pause the endless motion and simply allow yourself to be, you reconnect with your intuition, that quiet inner compass that speaks softly beneath the noise of the world. The more you chase external validation, the further you drift from the sacred language of your soul. But when you surrender to stillness, your energy recalibrates, your emotions settle, and clarity rises like dawn after a long storm. In this sacred stillness, you begin to see that busyness is not strength, it's distraction. Constant movement clouds your intuition and scatters your energy, while silence gathers it. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." The moment you stop trying to control everything and simply observe, your awareness expands. You start to feel the subtle rhythm of your being, the divine pulse beneath your thoughts. It's in this quiet awareness that real transformation happens, not through struggle, but through surrender. The soul doesn't need more noise. It needs your attention. And when you give it that attention, your inner world begins to harmonize, guiding your outer life with grace and precision. Silence is not emptiness, it's presence. It's the space where your consciousness and your soul meet and communicate. When you create moments of stillness, whether through mindful breathing, meditation, or sitting quietly in nature, you begin to bridge the gap between doing and being. You realize that doing without being is mechanical, but being without doing is divine alignment. From this balance, your actions become more intentional, flowing naturally from inner peace rather than external pressure. Stillness doesn't take you away from life, it roots you deeper in it. And in that depth, you discover your hidden power, the quiet, unwavering strength that doesn't shout but radiates. You no longer act out of fear or hurry. You move from calm awareness. This is the secret of all spiritual masters. They know that power is not in force, but in flow. The more you align with your inner silence, the more you realize that life is not something to be chased, it's something to be attuned to. Every moment of pause becomes an act of alignment. Every breath a bridge between heaven and earth, between your human self and your higher consciousness. In learning to balance doing and being, you begin to live from the center of your soul, not the edge of your anxiety. You act, but your action is conscious. You rest, but your rest is purposeful. This is the art of spiritual development, where stillness becomes your teacher, silence becomes your healer, and being becomes your truest form of power. 3. Cultivating inner honesty. Stillness is not merely the absence of noise, it is the mirror of your soul, where everything you've been avoiding, rises to the surface. Your fears, your insecurities, your hidden wounds. It is in those quiet spaces that the shadows you've long suppressed begin to speak. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." His words remind us that true growth doesn't come from pretending to be positive all the time, but from courageously facing the parts of ourselves we've kept buried. To cultivate inner honesty is to stand unflinchingly before your reflection and admit what you truly feel: jealousy, anger, pain, desire, and to do so without judgment. This is where healing begins, because the moment you acknowledge your truth, you stop fighting against yourself. The mind loves illusions. It loves to protect you with excuses, stories, and masks that help you fit into a world that demands perfection. But the cost of denial is authenticity. The cost of suppression is peace. Every time you ignore what you feel, your body remembers, your heart tightens, your energy dims. Honesty is not an act of weakness. It is the foundation of all spiritual wisdom. When you dare to see yourself clearly, you step out of the fog of self-deception and into the light of awareness. You no longer fear your darkness because you understand that your darkness holds your greatest potential. Every shadow is a lesson disguised as pain, waiting for your acceptance to transform it into power. Jealousy reveals your unfulfilled longing. Fear shows you where faith is missing. Pain teaches you how deeply you can love. This is the alchemy of consciousness, turning the raw, heavy emotions of your humanity into the gold of understanding. Jung believed that wholeness is achieved not by rejecting parts of ourselves, but by integrating them. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel, and you cannot transform what you will not face. To look within is to uncover the architecture of your psyche, to meet the hidden child, the wounded lover, the silent warrior, and to embrace them all as sacred. This is not a journey of perfection, but of honesty, where every truth accepted becomes another step toward freedom. As you practice this ritual of self-honesty, you begin to see that the shadow is not your enemy, but your teacher. It reveals the blind spots in your mind and the hidden motives in your heart. It shows you why you react, why you fear, why you cling. And with every layer you uncover, you reclaim a fragment of your power. In that reclamation lies transformation. Inner honesty turns your pain into wisdom, your resistance into surrender, and your fear into fuel. When you can sit in silence with your truth and not flinch, when you can face your inner storms and still choose peace, you awaken something ancient and indestructible within you. That is the essence of Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom, the understanding that to awaken your hidden power, you must first walk through your own darkness and make it conscious. For only then can the light truly belong to you. If this message resonated with you, declare it boldly in the comments. I choose inner honesty and spiritual growth. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more insights inspired by Carl Jung's timeless teachings. 4. Protecting your energetic boundaries. Not every heaviness you carry belongs to you. Much of what weighs on your spirit may be the energy of others' unspoken fears, expectations, and emotional residue that have quietly settled within your field. Carl Jung warned that when you become entangled in the energy of others, your own soul begins to dim. Protecting your energy does not mean building walls. or isolating yourself from life. It means learning to stay centered in your truth, even as the world swirls around you. It means realizing that not everything you feel is yours to heal, and not every storm requires your participation. When you protect your energetic boundaries, you preserve your inner light so you can give from fullness, not depletion. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding with awareness, grace, and power. Your energy is sacred. It is the essence of your vitality, intuition, and connection to the divine. Think of it as a flame, steady, radiant, and alive. Every time you allow negativity, guilt, or the emotions of others to infiltrate your space, that flame flickers. Jung believed that the soul loses its clarity when it identifies with everything around it. Protecting your energy, therefore, is an act of spiritual awakening. It is the process of reclaiming your essence from the noise of the collective. It's about remembering that your empathy is a gift, not a burden, and that you can be compassionate without being consumed. By observing what drains you and what nourishes you, you begin to master the subtle art of energetic discernment. You start to notice how certain people, conversations, or environments either raise your vibration or pull it down. And with each realization, you step deeper into spiritual wisdom, choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion. Boundaries are not barriers. They are the architecture of your inner sanctuary. They allow your spirit to breathe freely and your intuition to flourish. Protecting your energy might mean saying no to what feels misaligned, spending more time in solitude, or grounding yourself before and after social interactions. These are not acts of selfishness. They are acts of reverence for your soul. Jung's teachings remind us that individuation, the journey of becoming your truest self, requires protecting your psychic integrity. You cannot awaken to your highest potential if you are constantly entangled in the energetic debris of others. Your task is to stay rooted in your center while the world moves around you, to let your light expand without letting it scatter. When you learn to protect your energy, you become a calm presence in a chaotic world. You stop absorbing emotions that aren't yours and start radiating a frequency that heals without effort. Others will feel your strength, not because you are hard to reach, but because your spirit is whole. This is the heart of spirituality, to live open yet grounded, compassionate yet self-contained, loving yet sovereign. Protecting your energy is not withdrawal from life. It is participation from a place of power. It is the quiet confidence that allows you to serve, love, and create without losing yourself in the process. Through spiritual awakening, you realize that the more you honor your boundaries, the brighter your light becomes, and that light, once preserved, becomes the force that transforms everything it touches. 5. Practicing psychological discipline. Discipline is not about control. It is about inner harmony and alignment between your thoughts, emotions, and actions. When these three forces move together, you stop fighting yourself and start flowing with life. Discipline is the art of transforming chaos into clarity, resistance into rhythm, and fear into focus. It's not a harsh restriction, but rather a sacred structure that allows your energy to move freely and purposefully. Through small, consistent actions, waking up when you said you would, keeping your word, finishing what you start, you build an unshakable trust within yourself. Every time you honor a promise you've made to your own soul, You strengthen the bridge between your conscious and unconscious mind, which is the essence of spiritual development. As Carl Jung taught, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Discipline is what makes that illumination possible. When you live without discipline, your mind becomes a battlefield, filled with unfinished intentions and scattered emotions. But once you learn to guide your energy with precision, your thoughts gain clarity, your emotions find calm, and your actions carry power. You begin to notice that discipline doesn't confine you, it liberates you. It allows you to direct your energy toward creation rather than conflict. You stop seeking instant pleasure and begin to cultivate lasting peace. Every act of self-discipline becomes a quiet declaration that you are no longer at the mercy of external chaos, but guided by internal order. This is how discipline becomes a form of spirituality, a devotion to the highest part of yourself. The more you practice, the more subtle shifts you'll notice. Confusion turns into focus. Hesitation becomes confidence, and procrastination transforms into purpose. You stop reacting to life and start responding with awareness. Emotional storms lose their grip on you because you've learned to pause, breathe, and observe instead of getting lost in them. Discipline teaches you to harness emotion instead of being ruled by it, to turn impulse into insight and desire into direction. It refines your consciousness like fire purifying gold, burning away what's false and revealing what's real. Through discipline, your mind stops being a restless wanderer and becomes a devoted servant to your higher calling. True freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from doing what aligns with your soul, even when it's difficult. Each time you choose consistency over comfort, honesty over avoidance, and purpose over distraction, you awaken a deeper layer of strength. Discipline is how the ordinary becomes sacred, how a simple daily choice turns into spiritual evolution. It transforms repetition into ritual, effort into embodiment, and willpower into wisdom. The more you align your mind, heart, and actions, the more you experience inner peace, the quiet power that allows your consciousness to rise above fear. This is the hidden power within you, not to control, but to align, not to suppress, but to transcend. Through discipline, spirituality becomes practical, and spiritual development becomes your way of living. If this message resonates with you, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more insights on spiritual awakening and self-mastery. Comment below, I choose discipline over distraction, and let's grow stronger together on this journey of inner power. 6. Acceptance of paradox. Real spiritual wisdom is born when you dare to embrace paradox, the union of light and darkness, of power and fragility, of love and fear. Carl Jung once said, "Only the paradox comes anywhere near to comprehending the fullness of life." What he meant is that true understanding never comes from choosing one side of your nature while rejecting the other, but from learning to integrate both. When you deny your anger to appear peaceful, or suppress your sorrow to look strong, you split yourself in two. But when you begin to honor all parts of yourself, the calm and the chaos, the confidence and the insecure, you start to heal the silent war inside your soul. In doing so, you begin to feel the harmony that arises not from control, but from acceptance. You see, life itself is made of contradictions. There is no sunrise without night, no courage without fear, no transformation without pain. When you reject darkness, you also reject half of your strength, because even the shadow serves a sacred purpose. Jung believed that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So, when you dare to look into your fears without shame, you don't become weaker, you become whole. The more you allow both joy and sorrow to shape you, the more you begin to understand that every emotion is a thread in the tapestry of your soul. To live with spiritual wisdom means to walk gently between opposites, to cry and still be grateful, to fall and still rise, to doubt and still have faith. Wholeness is not about purity or perfection. It's about integration. Every time you allow your heart to break open, you make room for deeper light to enter. Every time you accept your contradictions, your energy becomes more aligned, balanced, and powerful. That is where your hidden strength lies, not in being one thing, but in being everything you truly are. 7. Soul work in the ordinary. The sacred hides in the rhythm of your daily life in brewing tea, walking, writing, listening. When you begin to see through the eyes of spirituality, you realize that spiritual awakening is not about reaching for something far beyond you, but about descending fully into the present moment. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." This truth reminds you that your hidden power does not awaken in rare moments of enlightenment, but in your willingness to meet the ordinary with divine attention. When you pour your tea slowly, feel its warmth, and watch the steam rise, you are practicing devotion without even knowing it. When you walk and feel the earth beneath your feet, each step becomes a silent prayer of connection. When you write, you are conversing with the unseen part of your soul. When you listen, you become the space where love itself can be heard. These simple moments, once overlooked, are in fact sacred rituals, bridges between your humanity and your divinity. Greatness is not born from extraordinary moments. It is born from doing small things with great love. As you cultivate mindful presence, life stops feeling like a race and begins to unfold as a living meditation. The act of washing your hands becomes a renewal of energy. Cooking becomes a ceremony of gratitude, and even breathing becomes an affirmation that you are one with the universe. The divine is not waiting in the distant heavens. It is breathing through every heartbeat, watching through your eyes, and moving through your touch. Every small act done with awareness transforms the ordinary into the miraculous. That is the essence of soul work, to meet each moment as sacred, to live as though the divine were present in every grain of sand, every drop of water, every second of silence. When you live this way, life itself becomes your temple. Each movement, each gesture, each word becomes a prayer whispered into eternity. You no longer need to chase enlightenment, because awareness itself becomes your path. Every thought aligned with love purifies your energy. Every act performed consciously raises your vibration, and every moment of stillness reconnects you with your higher self. This is where true spiritual awakening begins, not in escape, but in embodiment. You start to realize that the universe was never apart from you. It was always speaking through you, waiting for you to listen. The magic of life is not hidden. It only reveals itself when you slow down enough to see. The sacred was never missing. It was only waiting for your eyes to open. And when they do, you understand that every breath, every sound, and every silence is a holy conversation between your soul and the divine. Don't forget to subscribe for more spiritual wisdom on transforming everyday moments into sacred rituals of growth and awakening. 8. Listening to symbols and synchronicities. Life constantly communicates with you through dreams, symbols, and coincidences that seem too precise to be accidents. Carl Jung called this synchronicity a meaningful alignment between your inner and outer worlds. It is the universe's way of mirroring your state of consciousness and guiding your spiritual development. Every time a number repeats, a song plays at the right moment, or someone's words echo your private thoughts, it's as if life itself is speaking directly to your soul. These moments are not random. They are the whispers of divine order woven through ordinary events, nudging you toward deeper self-awareness. The symbols that appear in your path are not meant to confuse you, but to awaken you. They are a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious mind, inviting you to explore what lies beneath the surface of your everyday reality. When you start paying attention to these subtle signs, you awaken a new kind of perception, a language of the soul that cannot be translated through logic alone. Jung once said, "The dream is the small hidden door in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul. Through that door, your unconscious reveals what your conscious mind cannot yet see. A recurring dream, an image that won't leave your thoughts, or even an unexpected encounter might hold clues to your growth. Symbols often reflect your emotional landscape. Water can represent cleansing or renewal. Mountains can symbolize challenges that strengthen your spirit, and flight may express a deep desire for freedom. When you learn to interpret these symbols, you are no longer blind to the dialogue between your psyche and the universe. You begin to live consciously, seeing spirituality not as something distant or abstract, but as an ever-present conversation between your soul and existence itself. Listening to symbols requires sensitivity and trust. You must resist the urge to dismiss coincidences as meaningless. Instead, pause and ask, what is this trying to tell me? Repetition is one of the universe's favorite teachers. When a symbol appears again and again, it is calling for your attention. These are the moments when the veil between the conscious and unconscious becomes thin. You feel guided, connected, and supported by an invisible intelligence that transcends logic. Each event becomes a mirror reflecting a hidden part of yourself that longs to be understood. This process is the essence of spiritual development. It transforms random experiences into sacred messages, pain into wisdom, and confusion into awareness. As you continue to honor these synchronicities, life begins to reveal its pattern. Every experience, whether joyful or painful, carries meaning. Jung taught, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The key is to listen deeply, not with your ears, but with your awareness. When you learn to decode life symbols, you no longer feel like a victim of circumstance, but a co-creator in a divine pattern of evolution. Spirituality becomes an art of perception, a practice of seeing how every detail, every coincidence, and every dream is part of your unfolding story. The more you pay attention, the more the universe speaks, and you realize that life has always been guiding you. It's just that now you finally understand its language. 9. Practicing conscious gratitude. Gratitude shifts your vibration from ego to soul. It is not about ignoring pain, but about honoring every part of your journey. When you practice conscious gratitude, you awaken what Carl Jung called the deeper dimension of the self, the part of you that sees meaning in both joy and sorrow. Gratitude is not the denial of darkness. It is the light that makes sense of it. It heals the nervous system, softens your perception, and reminds you that even the hardest moments carry hidden wisdom. Each thank you whisper is like striking a match in the dark, a small flame that gradually illuminates the vastness of your inner world. You begin to see that life was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be meaningful. And gratitude helps you remember that. When you thank life, not for what is comfortable, but for what is real, you shift from resistance to acceptance. This simple act opens your heart and calms your mind, aligning your energy with peace instead of struggle. Gratitude turns chaos into clarity because it rewires the way you see yourself and the world. It transforms every wound into a teacher, every loss into a lesson, every delay into divine timing. Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom teaches that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And gratitude is the daily ritual that gently guides you toward that becoming. When you appreciate even the challenges, you reclaim your power from the external world and return it to your soul, where real transformation happens. True gratitude is psychological alchemy. It dissolves the boundaries between pain and growth, between what you hoped for and what you received. It allows you to see that everything has served your awakening in one way or another. Gratitude is the art of saying, "Thank you for shaping me," even when life has not gone according to your plans. The more you embody this awareness, the more your energy expands beyond fear and enters harmony with the universe. It is not an act of forced positivity, but a deep recognition that your life is unfolding with purpose. Every breath becomes sacred, every experience becomes a teacher, and every thank you becomes a prayer that lifts you closer to your soul. Through the eyes of gratitude, existence stops being random. It becomes a dialogue between your spirit and the infinite. To affirm your awareness of life's blessings and your readiness to rise in higher consciousness, declare it with gratitude. Comment below, "I am consciously grateful," to anchor this vibration of appreciation within you and inspire others to walk the same path of spiritual awakening. 10. Reconnection with nature. Nature mirrors the hidden architecture of your soul, calm, balanced, and whole. When you walk among trees or stand before a vast ocean, something ancient inside you begins to stir, as if the earth itself is reminding you of who you truly are. Carl Jung believed that nature was not just scenery, but a living symbol of the self, the totality of your being, where your conscious and unconscious meet. In nature's silence, your mind softens, your breath deepens, and your fragmented thoughts begin to align. You feel the pulse of life moving through everything, the trees breathing with you, the wind carrying away your heaviness, the sunlight returning warmth to places inside you that had long gone cold. In spirituality, reconnecting with nature is not about escape. It's about remembrance. It's about remembering that you are not separate from life, but a part of its eternal rhythm. When you walk barefoot on the ground, you are touching the same earth that holds the memory of every living being. The river that flows teaches you trust. It never doubts its direction. The trees teach patience, silently growing toward the light without competition. The mountain teaches you stillness, reminding you that true strength does not need to move to prove its power. Every element of nature carries wisdom that words cannot express. And when you learn to listen, that wisdom begins to shape your inner world. Jung often spoke about the soul's longing for harmony, and nature offers this lesson effortlessly. The forest never rushes, yet everything within it thrives in divine timing. The rain falls without hesitation, cleansing what must be renewed. The soil receives decay and turns it into nourishment. When you allow yourself to be present in these cycles, you begin to see that your own healing follows the same pattern. Pain breaks you open. Time softens the edges. Renewal follows naturally, just as spring follows winter. This is the quiet miracle of spiritual awakening, to understand that nature's rhythm is your rhythm, and that every season of your life serves a sacred purpose. The modern world, however, makes forgetting easy. Surrounded by noise, artificial light, and endless distractions, the human psyche drifts away from its natural roots. Yet the soul aches for stillness, for simplicity, for the sound of the wind instead of the hum of machines. When you step into nature, you return to your original home, the one that exists beyond identity, beyond judgment, beyond striving. You are no longer the observer of life. You become life itself. In that sacred union, humility replaces pride, presence replaces anxiety, and gratitude replaces desire. The forest becomes your church, the sky your cathedral, and every breath a silent prayer. As you remember your place in this great living system, peace emerges naturally. You begin to sense that everything is connected, that every leaf and wave and breath participates in the same dance of existence. The more you align with this truth, the more you dissolve the illusion of separation that keeps humanity divided from the soul of the world. To reconnect with nature is to reconnect with your own divine essence, to rediscover that spirituality is not found in escaping the earth, but in embracing it completely. When you remember that you are nature, the boundaries between you and the universe fade, and what remains is wholeness, the quiet, steady knowing that you have always belonged. In the end, Carl Jung reminded us that true power doesn't come from the outer world. It is born from self-awareness, reflection, and daily inner work. These 10 psychological rituals are not just habits. They are doorways to awakening the hidden energy within you, transforming ordinary moments into opportunities for growth and self-mastery. When you practice them with intention, your life begins to shift from confusion to clarity, from fear to inner strength. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos that guide you toward deeper spirituality and self-realization.